I have a question for you before we really dive in. The question is, how big is your ocean? Really? How big is your ocean, really? Have you ever thought about that? Now think about it. Do you remember that question that always said, does size really matter? You know, we're talking about bigness, talking about size. Well, guess what? Size does matter. It really does. I've got proof. Would you like to hear it?
I'm not so sure.
Well, for your information, Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, our wonderful beloved, a friend of mine says Uncle Ernie, he says, and this is in the Sermon by the Sea, that there is a cosmic power wrapped up in a cosmic consciousness and purposiveness that is equal to the vision which looses it. To me, what that simply means is the larger the consciousness, the larger the vision, and larger the purpose. Does that kind of make sense for you? Well, therefore, my talk is titled Sermon on the Ocean. And so, another question you might want to ask yourself is your ocean the size of a bucket? Or is it immense? Is it immeasurable? Is it actually endless ocean of dreams? Just think for a moment. Where is your consciousness when it comes to size? When it comes to availability, to access your dreams, to access all of the information that is ever available to you. This is what we describe as an ocean of infinite possibilities, an ocean of infinite dreams, an ocean of infinite inspiration. Now, inspiration can do a whole lot for you. You can be inspired to do wonderful, great things. However, if you're not open to it, then what good is it? If your consciousness is just not large enough to contain the dreams that will come into you, well then what good is the inspiration? How will you be inspired if you're not really truly open to what's coming through? Once again, is your ocean the size of a bucket or an endless ocean of dreams? There's a law of correspondence that we know of in religious science. So grateful for this teaching. The law of correspondence, and you can find it in the Science of Mind text. He says, Ernest Holmes, think of how many stars there are, and how many fish in the seas, and how many grains of sand on the beaches. Think of how big the ocean is, of the immensity of space, the beginning and the bigness of everything, the grandeur of everything. This is what he quotes. And you think about it. You can't count the stars in the sky. I'd even bring it down to a landlubber level. Think about all the bricks in a building. Have you ever stopped to count bricks? You end up stopping. It's like, you figure, you know what, this could go on forever. There seems to be infinite amount of bricks, right? Or counting leaves on a tree. There must be a finite amount. Yet, we pretty much stop at 100 or so. Because maybe we just can't contain the immenseness of the possibility of the infinite. But that's a reassurance that for as much as I can see, there is so much more. Isn't that a beautiful concept? We heard earlier in a talk that seeing is believing. And we turn it upside down to say believing is seeing. And the more you can believe, the more you get to see. Oh, that's another relief. That's another place where I can have complete satisfaction in knowing that I am supported by the immensity of the universe. of all the good that is within it. And when I heard somebody say that the universe is constantly expanding, like, oh my gosh, that means there's even more good that's possible that I have yet to even see, that I can even wrap my mind around. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody get a feel for where I'm going with this? Now, I'm not sure if all of you have noticed, but on our wonderful vessel here, there's been a quote that we may have seen every day. And it goes like this: my bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have. For both are infinite. And that's a quote from Romeo and Juliet. And I just take that as synonymous for the love that God has, the love that the Creator has for its creations, boundless as the sea. Now, although we're on a planet that seems to have a boundary, but yet we describe the oceans, we describe the sea as infinite and endless. And love that is endless. So very powerful. And with all of that, there was a time when people used to think that there was an end. I remember in grade school, they said the sailors used to go so far and stop at the horizon for fear that they would fall off the edge. So they weren't very farsighted. And if they could see a little further, they would not dare venture further than what they previously had thought would be the end. Isn't that a scary thought? Also to think that many of us might be operating with the same kind of blurred vision, thinking that we can only go but so far because I can't see any further. All we know is that horizon. The sun goes down right there every day. And that's as far as we can go, because if the sun goes down, I think we're going to be going down there that way too. And so those sailors, thinking the end of the earth was right beyond the horizon, as far as the eye can see, was a total existence. They're going to fall off the plane, fall off the planet. However, I happen to look up horizon. I like looking up words. And horizon comes from a verb, horizo, which means to divide, to separate. So the horizon separates that from which we can see from what we can't see. Doesn't mean there's nothing there, it just means we just can't see what's there. Over the horizon. However, there's another meaning. It also means boundary or landmark. So isn't that a good place to actually start from? A boundary or a landmark. So a horizon doesn't have to be an end. It can also serve as a beginning. And how wonderful when we're moving on our ocean of inspiration, we are inspired to constantly create new beginnings from what we thought were the ends. From the ends of the earth, from the ends of the ocean, creating new beginnings. So you may want to ask yourself, are you stopped or slowed by what you can't see with your eyes? Do you feel limited by what you can't see? Or if you are slowed and stopped, maybe to a trickle, just realize that you can only mold what you can behold. You can only mold what you can behold. And I'm talking about from the deep recesses of your mind. Allow for the ocean of inspiration to plant an idea in your mind. And we know that this whole teaching is about the tagline, change your life, change your thinking, change your life. And then when you begin to change your thinking, you begin to mold different things, different outcomes for your life, different circumstances, different situations, greater successes, more adventure on the high seas of life. Isn't that wonderful? Now, I don't know what the low seas look like, but the high seas sounds great. So please consider this, that the ocean is teeming with life. It's teeming with life beneath the surface. We don't want to just be surface dwellers. We want to go beyond the surface. So often, we only look to the surface for our good. And as many people know, you're not going to get much nourishment on the surface of the ocean. There's a lot of stuff that floats to the top that's usually dead. Right, just floating along. But the real energy, the real vitality of life is underneath the waves. So it's not a secret. There is enough for the having underneath. Go within. There's enough for all. So don't think you have to limit yourself to what's easily seen on the surface. Sometimes we need to be socially conscious and share the bounty of the seas. It's as bountiful as the air you breathe. And so I say that each one of us is an ocean of inspiration for one another. We are as bountiful, each and every one of us, as what we see in the ocean. Within each of us is that unlimited possibility that can move someone else to their greater good, to assist someone else in looking beneath the surface of their own mind, of their own heart, of their own soul, to see the goodness that is ever ready and waiting to explode as the light explodes from the dawn of day. And we just move throughout our day, shining bright the truth of who we are. And we are inspired. We are inspired many times without even recognizing that we have that going on within us, that we've picked up something from a friend or a neighbor or a stranger on a bus, that we get a smile from someone that inspires us to smile at someone. Did that ever happen to you? Right? Somebody will say, "What are you smiling at?" You go, "I don't know." But sometimes that becomes infectious, and everybody's like, "What's he smiling at?" "I don't know." And we all just start smiling at each other. However, for the ocean of inspiration to be of any use to you, you must use certain qualities that will help you. One of them is faith. I think somebody was thinking that, because that's not what I was going to say. But one of them is faith. I just picked it up. No, really. But faith is so important. You have to trust the universe, trust the Creator, trust the planet, trust that what has gotten you to this moment, right here and right now, is going to continue to supply you with everything that you need. I want to say this about inspiration, about the unlimited possibilities. Sometimes when you feel like you've been holding back, when you're kind of playing small, and you really feel like, I can only do but so much, and then you get a hold of this teaching that just opens you up, and you're like, anything is possible, I can do all things. And you're like, yes, if I can think it, I can achieve it. And then it seems like the ocean is rushing in like a tsunami. And I was like, I can do all these things. And we make ourselves really busy doing all this stuff. I'm inspired to do this. I'm inspired to paint. I'm inspired to sing. I'm inspired to be on every single council that we have in the church. Choir council, I want to be in the choir. I'm going to do all these things. And I feel that vitality and energy. I am so inspired by seeing all these other bright lights. I see my own light. Yes, you watch me shine. And then we kind of feel a little burnt out. All right? And all of a sudden we close up again and it seems like the ocean run dry. I can't think of anything to do. It's like I've reached a couple of goals, and what else is there for me to do? So sometimes we find ourselves on the ocean of inspiration, feeling like we're in the doldrums. There's just nothing moving. There's nothing happening. There's no wind in my sails. There's no waves to push me along. But yet remember that beneath the surface, it's teeming with life. It's teeming with possibilities to nurture us, to support us. And so we do need to have faith that whatever got us to this moment will continue to guide us, continue to nurture us, continue to support us in everything that we need for whatever goal we choose. It's another thing about faith. There was this guy a long time ago. Some of you may have heard about him, or somebody like him. He was on a boat going to a certain adventurous appointment. And he was with some friends. He was in a boat. He was in a little boat. It wasn't a big boat, but he had a very large consciousness. And so he was asleep in the boat, and his friends were kind of worried because they knew he was about up to something really big with that consciousness. And they were very worried and afraid. And so here he is asleep in the boat. And they're like, yo, Jesus, yo, dude, there's a storm going on. How can you be there sleeping? He was like, would you please be still? I got this. Everything is under control. Relax. And they're like, but no, everything is, we're going to fall out and we're going to drown. Well, I think maybe it didn't go like that. I think he probably said something like, peace, be still. All is well. We're going to get there, dudes. It's okay. But see, and some attribute that to the master teacher known as Jesus. But he was very confident and aware and had ultimate faith of God that he was up to the work of God. He had a mission. He was divinely inspired to do what needed to be done. In his case, it was to allow himself to die, to be crucified. Some people say for the sake of others. Well, that was his personal mission, so it has been written. I wasn't there, I can't vouch for it, but that's how it was written. So we'll make the best of that teaching. So, one more thing, actually two more things before we come to a close. What kind of vessel do you see yourself as? In this respect, size does not matter. There's no competition, okay? Are you a SS minnow? Are you a HMS Bounty? Claim it for yourself. What kind of SS are you? Now, SS doesn't mean sailing ship. It means steamship. However, what kind of SS are you? I call myself the smiling spirit Rodney. You can be the soul shining Catherine. You can be a surely saved Ed. So what floats your boat? How do you see yourself as a vessel on the ocean of inspiration? What floats your boat? So, in conclusion, and it's just so difficult for me to resist, I love acronyms. So I'd like for you to join me in an acronym for ocean as an affirmation. Are you ready?
Ready.
Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. I'd like you to repeat after me. I am inspired by the omnipresent cosmic existence appearing now. Can you catch an ocean in that? Let's try it again. I am the obedient, clear, evolving, authentic, natural vessel of God. Take a breath. I am sailing on the omnipotently claiming, empowering awesome nature of my life. And so it is.